Welcome to Kennedy Space Center, Orlando. In this video, I'll tell you everything you need to know. What's the best time to visit? How much does a day trip cost? Is one day enough, or is a multi-day pass better? What's the food like? What to do and what not to do? The newest attractions? And where do you start? I'll give you a tour of the park and tell you everything you need to know. So, sit back, buckle up, and get ready for liftoff.
The ignition sequence starts where the ocean meets the sawgrass. A concrete cathedral standing tall against the salt air breeze. Engineers in white shorts leaves spelling out the trajectory from the launch pad where the giants once shook the very bedrock. Counting down the seconds while the ignition fluid starts to flow, leaving behind the humidity of the Florida afternoon.
There's a large parking lot, so don't worry about parking. $15 per day for cars. Motorcycles are $5, and RVs or larger vehicles are $20. It's easy to buy your ticket before you even enter. Adults, ages 12 plus, pay $77. Children are $67. If you're a military or veteran, it's $72 for adults and $62 for children. Children under 2 are free. They often recommend buying a 2-day ticket. This is relatively cheaper, with prices starting at around $45 per day. So, $90 total. If you have small children who hang around everywhere for a long time and don't want to walk much, this is a good option. But for adults, one day is definitely enough, and you don't have to rush to see everything. But where do you start your day? This is the entrance, and there's plenty to see right away.
Has already created a great number of new companies and tens of thousands of new jobs.
So, plan your day. There are several areas of the park. I recommend going there first. You can do this with a free bus tour. You'll also pass the VAB Vehicle Assembly Building and several other locations, such as SpaceX. Why take the bus tour first? Because if you're slow, it's better to be near the exit than somewhere in the back of the park. You'll also receive information during the bus tour.
This is an active spaceport where new things are happening every day. You never know what you might see, so enjoy your tour.
Notice the flag painted on the outside of the VAB? It's the size of a 21-story building. The blue section alone is the size of an NBA basketball court. Each star is 6 feet across, and each red and white stripe is wide enough for this bus to drive down. And the entire VAB? It's so huge that the Roman Colosseum would fit on the roof with room to spare for a parking lot.
First stop, LC-39 Observation Gantry. This 18-meter-tall observation tower reopened in July 2025 after a thorough renovation as one of Kennedy Space Center's newest top attractions. Let me give you a quick tour before I tell you more.
Those towering gantries hold the dreams of 1,000 restless minds. Falcon waits with its kerosene blood, liquid oxygen veins. Not just a leap into the dark, but a calculated bridge to the stars. We watch the birds scatter from the lagoon as the fire bloom. A thunderous roar that rattles the windows of the spectator stands, pushing through the heavy ceiling of the blue sky canopy. From the swamps of Kennedy to the red dust of the high frontier, over the lunar craters where the silent footprints wait in the grave, carving a path through the vacuum on a pillar of control. Fury to the iron hills of a world beyond only seen through glass. The distance, it's just a number in equations of life, mapping the silence between the cradle and a new horizon.
The main attraction is this full-scale rocket engine that simulates a test ignition with sound, lights, and fog. This occurs every 30 minutes, and the countdown is visible on the large screen at the front of the tower. When the countdown reaches 0, make sure you're ready. You're not alone. Decide for yourself if the 30-minute wait is worth it. Although you almost never have to wait the full 30 minutes, of course, I enjoyed it. It's also good to realize that this engine is real-world size. This gives you a better idea of how big a rocket ship is. Have you ever wondered why the Space Center is located here? It's no coincidence. It's a result of physics, safety, and history. Kennedy Space Center is relatively close to the equator. Because the Earth rotates fastest there, rockets get a free boost of about 910 miles per hour, 1,470 kilometers per hour during launch. This means less fuel is needed to reach space. A nice bonus, as it's already expensive enough. Safety has also been considered. Rockets from here are always launched eastward. Should anything go wrong during launch, the debris will fall into the Atlantic Ocean instead of on populated areas. You can also launch a rocket yourself using air pressure. This is, of course, especially fun for children. See who can shoot the highest. You can launch the rocket all the way up between the platform. At the top of the tower, in the center of the room, you'll find 12 digital stations where you can design and build your own rocket. Choose from 3 different missions and customize technical details like fuel and payload. After building your rocket, you'll test the design with a simulated launch. Right next to the gift shop at the observation gantry, a film is being shown that highlights the unique balance between nature and technology at the Kennedy Space Center. People claim that space travel is bad for the environment and unnecessary. It's nice to see that NASA cares about nature and the wildlife that inhabits the area. The video also explains how NASA satellites monitor our own planet from space to study climate change and natural disasters. After the video, you enter a room that explains the vulnerability of Earth and how space travel can further help us protect it. But now, it's time to move on. You can take a bus whenever you want. It doesn't have to be at a fixed time. Next stop, Apollo Saturn V Center. This is where you get off the bus. You can enter here and enter a room where you'll learn about the Apollo missions through a video. If you don't know what the Apollo missions were, this is really interesting. And actually, we're trying again these days, 2026. The Apollo program, 1961 to 1972, is without a doubt the most legendary period of the Kennedy Space Center. The goal was simple but bizarrely ambitious: land a man on the moon and return him safely. Yes, that was a while ago, and they succeeded. After watching the video, the doors open and you enter this room. It's a very faithful reconstruction, an authentic recreation, and not the exact room from which the missions departed. However, the computers and control panels you see in the exhibition are original panels from the Apollo era. They were removed from the actual LCC and placed in this theater-style setup to tell the story of the Apollo 8 launch. This gives you the feeling of actually being there. The actual firing rooms used to have 9 rows of consoles in a row. The space in the visitor center has been reduced slightly, about 4 rows, to fit the theater.
witnessing the launch, the doors on the other side of the theater open. You'll immediately find yourself standing next to, or perhaps more accurately, under the enormous Saturn V rocket. And yes, this one is real. It's not a replica. It's an impressive collection of unused parts from the Apollo program. The rocket consists of stages originally built for the canceled Apollo 18 and Apollo 19 mission. Some sections, like the first stage, are test pieces used by NASA for static fire tests to perfect the rocket. Let's quickly take a look at the rest, like the lunar lander and even the moon car. The lunar rover is also real. Of course, it hasn't been to the moon. Those rovers are still there and never returned.
It's a heavy chain that we are finally learning to break. Reusable steel returning to Earth like a falcon to the globe. While the upper stage pushes onward toward the orbit of the moon, a gateway swinging wide for the pioneers of a different century. No longer bound by the soil, but drifting toward the crimson plain. Gateway glimmers like a diamond in the solar wind. The docking board for the ships that will never touch the ground again. We look back at the marvel of blue hanging in the velvet night, knowing the journey started in the heat of a deep Canava morning, where the legacy of the Saturn cruise was the vision of the new, refining the art of the long voyage across the empty light years. The heat shields will go as they bite into the thin Martian air, descending through the storms to the basin of an ancient sea. Mission quite killing the story of how we walked from the marsh to the mountain, fulfilling the promise made on the shores of the Atlantic.
Let's teleport back, or just take the bus to the main park, where we entered. Here we'll go to the Atlantis shuttle. Very impressive. But before we do that, let's grab a quick bite to eat. We're pretty hungry after the bus tour. We want to know, is it tasty and what will it cost? A small apple juice costs $4.49 and a bottle of water is $5. We'll have a bacon double cheeseburger with a fountain drink for $21.98. We'll have a tomato mozzarella sandwich with fries and a small apple juice for $18.47. With state tax, we'll have $43.28 to fill our bellies. And this is what you get. Bon appetit. I have to say the food tasted good, but it was definitely not the cheapest. We have enough energy to continue to the Space Shuttle Atlantis. After the incredibly expensive Apollo moon missions, NASA wanted a system that wouldn't crash into the ocean after a single flight, but could be reused as a kind of space truck. The Space Shuttle Atlantis, UV-104, was the workhorse of the NASA fleet and has an impressive service record, having flown 33 missions between 1985 and 2011. And you can see the actual shuttle that made these 33 flights here. Inside, you'll first see a video explaining the shuttle and its missions. They asked not to film this, so I didn't. But just like with the Apollo show, the doors open afterward and you're suddenly standing right next to this shuttle. I think this is one of the most impressive things you can see at the Space Center, especially because this is the actual shuttle. Realize that this shuttle has made 33 flights, been in space for 307 days, and flown a whopping 203 million kilometers. That's 126,138,352 miles, and has orbited the Earth 4,848 times. Quite impressive to see.
The morning heat is thick above the orange groves. The concrete path stretches toward the heavy blue. They gathered here when the world felt small and hope to see the silver needle pierce the ceiling through. I walk beneath the giants resting on their sides. Iron skeletons stripped of all their fire and roar. The ghosts of pioneers are pacing in the tides, waiting for the angels to give way upon the door. A countdown like it's frozen in the sandy grave, while history hums inside the wires and the glass. The fire was born from every candle they lit, so watch the shadows of a mighty titans pass. The lagoon reflects a tower reaching for the sun, where the salt there eats the edges of the steel. The race was never finished, it had just begun, to prove the things that dreaming mind could feel. Beyond the heavy pull of this magnetic floor, the engine beats its thunder on the marshy ground. We built a key to open up the highest door, and left the silence heavy The gantry stands a lonely guard against the bay, as lightning flashes distant in the western sky. We traded all the comfort of the light of day to see the glow through a cold and distant.
I could tell you more for hours, but there's so much more to see. So we must move on. We're now at Spaceport KSC. This is a futuristic experience where you walk through a galactic airport and board a simulator. You can choose from 4 different virtual journeys: Red Planet, Mars, Cosmic Wonders, Daring Explorers, or Uncharted Worlds. You're not allowed to film during this attraction either. Your seat lifts off the ground and faces a large cinema screen. Here, you'll experience a space journey. It's not super special, but it's pretty fun. Personally, I prefer the Disney World attraction. On the side of the attraction is this screen, to give you an idea of what the experience will be like.
Control room sits an emerald like a fossil shell, buttoned down and quiet in the midday glare. Only those who breathe the finest heat can tell what it means to lead the breathing of the air. The maps are drawn in lines of mathematics now. The stars are targets pulled into a steady view. We made a promise with the sweat and copper blood to find a version of the world that still felt new. Now the tourists wonder where the heroes used to strive, buying postcards of the smoking of the flame. But there is something restless in the rising tide that doesn't care for money or a famous name. It is the ocean climate ladder made of sparks to leave a swamp and all its tangled vines behind, to sail across the vast and unrelenting darks and see what else the human soul finds. The hour-heavy pull of this magnetic floor, the engine bleeds us thunder on the marshy ground. We built a key to open up the highest door, and at the silence where beyond any sound. The gantry stand alone, the guard against the bay, as waving flashes distant in the western sky. We traded all the comfort of the light of day to see it glow through a cold and distant.
Next stop, Mars. Here you can view life-size models of famous Mars rovers like Perseverance, Curiosity, Spirit, and Opportunity. Unfortunately, but understandably, you can't see the actual rovers here. They're located an average distance of approximately 225 million kilometers, approximately 140 million miles, away on the red planet itself. NASA aims to send the first humans to Mars in the 2030s. A specific date hasn't been finalized yet, but the current strategy focuses on a manned mission around 2035 or later in that decade. Did you know? A return trip to Mars takes about 2 years, including 6 to 9 months of travel time each way, and a stay on the planet until the planets align for the return. I could tell you a lot more about Mars, but it's much more fun to take the quiz.
Why is Mars red? Iron in the soil. The planet is actually a very dark gray planet because there's so much iron content there. But there's a thick coat of iron dust across the entire planet that has oxidized. It turned to rust. How many moons does Mars have? 2. When we first started looking up into the skies through our early telescopes, they saw this little red, angry-looking planet, so they named it Mars, after the mythological god of war. Then they discovered the 2 moons that orbit the planet and named them Phobos and Deimos. Phobos and Deimos were the twin sons of the Greek mythological god of war, Ares. We combined those 2 mythologies together on the planet. If you weighed 100 pounds on Earth, how much would you weigh on Mars? 38 pounds. That's because there's a little over 1/3 the amount of gravity on Mars that there is on the Earth. Gravity is created by the mass, density, and radius of a planet. So it's not just how big the planet is, but also what it's made up of, the different properties for each planet. Several different factors go into effect for creating gravity. How many Earth days does it take for Mars to travel around the Sun? 39.5 million miles further out from the Sun than we are, so it takes 687 days, almost twice what it takes the Earth. Now that means that if you're living on Mars for us, you only get to celebrate your birthday every 2 years there instead of every year on the Earth. At that rate, I'd be so much younger, I'm okay with that. Is Mars larger, smaller, or the same size as the Earth? It is smaller, a little over 1/3 the size of the Earth, but it has the highest mountain and the longest valley of anywhere in our solar system. There's a mountain on Mars that is 3.5 times taller than Mount Everest. The valley is wider and deeper than the Grand Canyon, and on the Earth, it would reach from New York City to Los Angeles, California.
We're going back outside. We're here at the beginning of the park, and you've probably already seen this impressive collection of rockets at the beginning of the video. We're here in the rocket garden. Most of the rockets in the rocket garden are real machines. There are a few exceptions, and these rockets never flew into space. The Saturn 1B, which lies here on its side, is the last flight-ready vehicle of its kind in the world. It served as a backup for the Skylab or Apollo-Soyuz missions. Each rocket has an explanatory sign, and it gives you a good idea of how space travel actually came about and how it affects our daily lives. For example, there's the Thor Delta. This rocket launched the satellite Telstar 1 into space. On July 10th, 1962, it was the first satellite capable of transmitting live television images, telephone calls, and telegraph messages across the Atlantic Ocean. So there's plenty to see at Kennedy Space Center. I hope I've given you a clear idea of what to expect, and I've encouraged you to take a look. It's definitely worth it. This concludes our space journey. Did you like the video? Then give it a thumbs up. Subscribing is completely free, and you can do so by clicking the channel logo here. It's completely free, and I really appreciate it. It encourages me to make even more beautiful videos. Also, check out my channel, where you'll find many more videos about holiday destinations and the most beautiful locations. For now, enjoy your day. Lots of love, and see you next time.